another bioterrorism attack. The BSAA confirmed it was the same one used in Eastern Europe 6 months ago, called the C virus.
Hi, Resident Evil 6 represents the next stage of evolution in the RE franchise, but it's also us trying to do something on a bigger scale than we've ever done for a Resident Evil game in terms of story and action. Everything we're trying to do it on a bigger scale. I was involved with Resident Evil 4, and so it's been a while since I've been involved with the franchise, so that's a little daunting task to return to such a well-known marquee franchise, but I think I'm up to the challenge and worked really hard on it.
What are you going to do?
We're going to China.
For us, in terms of game design, what we wanted to do is we wanted to create 3 stories, and we have 3 main characters that we follow in this game. And for us, that means 3 different ways to give a horror experience to the fans of Resident Evil. I think everyone associates Resident Evil with survival horror. This time around, the game allows us to iterate that even further by having 3 protagonists that we follow through their separate stories. So for example, with Leon, we have more of a gothic style horror. That might be what some would consider more a traditional style horror in this game. Then with Chris, his is more a militaristic style horror as he works his way through the different stages of his mission. Then the new character, Jake Mueller, the horror that comes from his storyline is the fact that he's being chased by something, and this thing is relentless and won't let go.
You know, those shots of yours pack one hell of a punch, lady.
There were a lot of good elements of the action in RE5, and we want to make sure we carried those over to RE6. So we're not ignoring the good that was in RE5. But we do want to add some more horror elements, add to that level of tension and the overall design of the game. What we're also doing is we're trying to tie all this together in a nice, big, dramatic way. So the story is just as important in this game, and that adds to all the elements. It enhances everything. We're trying to make this a piece of horror entertainment, if you will, something that's more encompassing than just horror on its own.
Hunnigan, I need you to fake our deaths.
So what we want to do is we want to try and incorporate a new action and new controls into this game. I think new controls give you new horror elements, and what that means is, for example, when you're on your back shooting enemies, that could be pretty easy because you have an advantage and you can just line them up. But now, when you're in that position, a zombie can jump on top of you and try and bite you and is choking you, and you have to try and force your gun up to its head and shoot it off at the last minute before it bites you.
What? We met? Though you jarheads all look the same to me, pal, sorry.
First of all, we have characters that everyone knows, Leon and Chris. But they're getting up in years, so we decided we needed to add some young blood to the game, and that came in the form of Jake Mueller as a new character. And the interesting thing about him is that he's Albert Wesker's son. And what does that mean for Jake is that he's heir to a rare type of blood. He has the immunity to viruses that his father had. And because of that, that involves Sherry Birkin, who's now an agent for the US government. Last time we saw her was in Resident Evil 2. And she comes to Jake and says, you have the power to save the world. Your blood can save the world, and I need you to come with me. And so, as you know, Sherry herself was infected by the G virus in RE2. So there's sort of parallels between their respective childhoods and the way they grew up, but they are different personalities, and now both of them are on the run trying to escape from the country that they're in.
So, you're Wesker Jr.
You lost me.
I can draw your attention to one element. If you, in this new trailer, you notice there was a mysterious woman that shows up. She confronts Chris and his team, and in that trailer she threw that ball with all the needles attached to it to attack his team. If you go back to the first trailer when we announced the game, there was a nice close-up of that ball and it exploding. So if you put the 2 trailers together, you get a little more pieces of the story. So what I encourage people to do is go back to the first trailer and look at this trailer and see how the elements sort of stack up, and that might offer hints as to what's to come.
You want to tell me what's in there?
It's better if I show you.
Okay, if I may draw attention to the fact that in both of these trailers there's a lot of really short cuts, so it keeps changing up pretty quickly. What you can do is, if you can watch those slowly, there's stuff in there that you'll find. If you just watch the trailer normally, it goes by pretty quickly, so you may not notice it. So a replay is worth your while, I think. And there's something else in there you may have noticed is these chrysalids. The humans get cocooned in this goop stuff, and what's going to emerge from those chrysalids is something that's not entirely human. But what's going to come out of there, no one knows.
Is this what you wanted to show me?
はい、やっぱりシリーズファンは本当に
Well, one thing I can say is it's been over 15 years since the first Resident Evil game came out. We've kept all the elements that have appeared in Resident Evil up till now in mind while making this game. The director, Sasaki-san himself, is a big fan of the series, so he's really dedicated to making this a good game. And if you're a fan of the Resident Evil series, you're going to find we'll drop characters and certain elements into the game that you can recognize from previous games, and that'll, I think, fan service. I think a lot of Easter eggs in there for the fans. But if you're new to Resident Evil, Resident Evil 6 is the first time you've ever played a Resident Evil game, you can come into this and not have to worry about knowing any of the backstory of the Resident Evil mythos. There will be characters that appeared, like Leon and Chris, from the previous games, but they're in a new situation, they're moving forward, so you don't have to know where they've been to enjoy where they are in this game.
C-virus. That's what the guerrillas were calling it.
Alright, the name of the game is Resident Evil 6. It'll be out this year, October 2nd, 2012, on Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, and then following that we will be playing it on the PC.
Put your gun down, Chris. She's a key witness. We need her.